Call of Duty, a game series that has managed to last and consistently push out a new title every year while simultaneously topping the best-selling charts. Like many of you who may be watching this video, I thoroughly enjoyed this franchise growing up. Even though the series had previous titles, it was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare that gave the franchise the push it needed to become one of the most popular games in today's modern world. It introduced the basics in which every Call of Duty following would need to interpret: a riveting, action-packed, cinema-like campaign, as well as an exhilarating multiplayer jam-packed with multiple weapons, classes, score streaks, and maps. Later games in the series introduced new modes and mechanics, including Treyarch's first game after COD 4, World at War, which, as we all know, gave us the exciting and thrilling mode of Nazi zombies, later simply called Zombies. Modern Warfare 2 gave us even more weapons and kill streaks, with this being one of the most memorable and loved Call of Duty games for most, including myself. Black Ops fleshed out Treyarch's new and beloved Zombies mode by introducing classic maps such as Keynote or Toten and Moon. We also saw one of the most popular maps from all of Call of Duty. No, not that one. Yes, Nuketown, which, even if you don't know about the original Black Ops, you know about Nuketown, and not to mention the campaign, which proceeds to be my favorite of all time. Moving to the next installment, Modern Warfare 3, which concludes the trilogy of the Modern Warfare series, cemented this franchise even more than its predecessors. I don't have much to say about this game other than the badass New York City mission in the beginning of the campaign. It's badass. The next game, which needs no introduction, Black Ops 2. While also continuing the Zombies mode, it managed to bring some of the worst and best maps in every game. The campaign was nothing to rave about, but the multiplayer was what set it apart. Sure, it was still Call of Duty, but a much different take. Being the first in the franchise to step into the future, far past what had already been done, it was appreciated nonetheless. I don't want to spend much time on the next few games, seeing as the community as a whole collectively regards these games in the same fashion, with an exception to this one for some reason. Don't get me wrong, it has one of the best Zombies experience yet, but a very, very overrated multiplayer. And this one, which is very, very underrated. In my own opinion, obviously. And for anyone wondering, yes, I loved Ghost's multiplayer. One of my favorite, actually. Which leads me to my next point. Call of Duty, since the release of the current gen consoles, that being the PS4 and Xbox One, haven't been well received by the community, especially when they made the drastic jump from boots on the ground to exosuits. The community had fallen back on its previous problems it had back when the series took off. It was stale. The same game year after year, and things like supply drops, the absence of weapon balance, and the inability of studios' willingness to care for the game's launch gave people a sour taste in their mouth just thinking about it. For most people, Zombies was the only thing keeping them attached to the series, and even that community was fading due to the mindset that Treyarch was the only studio doing it right, and they wouldn't hold the reins for another 2 years. All of this anger, hatred, and dismay for the series quickly came into question with a reveal for the 2017-2018 installment, Call of Duty World War II.
Yo, straight from the depths of Queens, leave you sleeping on the mezzanine like you Lincoln.
What is going on, everybody? It is Nelly B here, and in today's video, oh god, let me try that again. What is going on, everybody? It is Nelly B here, and in today's video, I want to share some of my first impressions on Call of Duty World War II. Even though I've only played 2 campaign missions, just barely Prestige 1 in multiplayer, and have played Zombies for a total of about 4 hours, I still feel more than qualified to talk about this game, seeing as this isn't my in-depth review. It's way too early for that, and obviously I haven't had as much playtime as others, so I thought, why not talk about the game's first few days in its life cycle? So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So starting off, I want to make it clear that I absolutely love this game, from campaign down to the Zombies mode. The ridiculous jump from last year's graphics and this year's just goes to show you how fast we're advancing in technology and how easier it is to make such leaps and bounds. This game does a great job telling a story and making you feel like just another soldier trying to make it out of the war alive. It doesn't shy away from the brutality and horror of World War II without giving you a few moments to chuckle with and feel sad for these characters. The developers wanted an as close to real life depiction of what World War II and war in general is like, and they did an outstanding job. For the first mission, it puts you in the boots of a soldier. storming the shores of Normandy with your fellow crew members. Even before you reach the shore, the realism starts to take place. Death and destruction seem like the only thing that awaits on arrival. As you exit the boat, you're surrounded by fellow soldiers being shot, mutilated, and even blown up. Somehow you survive and take control of the beach, but at the end of the day, the experience had some sort of impact on you. I don't know about you guys, but with the hyper-realistic graphics and gut-wrenching sounds, I can't help but thinking that these were real soldiers and real people willing to risk and devote their lives to a cause that was much greater than anyone of us could even imagine. It doesn't stop there though. Throughout the whole campaign, into tough situations and exhilarating gameplay. Now, I have seen every mission walkthrough except the ending, so I don't know who wins, and I really don't want any of you spoiling it in the comments, so please, please, please try to refrain. I can't even say that with a straight face. But to be completely honest, this campaign has instantly become one of my favorite. The only thing keeping it from being a 10 out of 10 for me is the quick time events, which at times are good, but are used too often to keep you focused between cutscenes, which, might I add, are amazing as well. So multiplayer has always been something I enjoy, and Sledgehammer's take on World War II style Call of Duty is no exception. Sniping is back and better in my opinion than any other current gen Call of Duty. My only gold weapons are the Carabin, the semi-auto sniper rifle, and the Lee Enfield. I can't say much for any other weapon class, but getting the camels for snipers has never been easier, and I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Only time will tell. Now, coming from the beta expecting the SMGs to dominate, I was pleasantly surprised when being killed by the STG every single game. Every Call of Duty has that standout gun that is all around just easy to use. I for one think the bar is a lot better, but the STG is still one of the top weapons in the game, and I hope they find a good way to balance both of these weapons in the upcoming months. But again, we're still not even 2 weeks into the game's lifecycle, so complaining about something like that in Call of Duty is like complaining about you having to reload your gun when you run out of ammo. It's inevitable. Other than that, the gameplay mechanics are a nice reinvention of the original World War II style Call of Duties, and I know it's something that not many people mention, but the flop is back instead of the sliding mechanic, which is more realistic. You can't argue with that. I just feel like the sliding element added a very thin layer to the gameplay that went under the radar a lot of times. The maps are all around good with the exception of 2, seeing as there are only 9 maps, that really doesn't make for a bad ratio at all. Like what the pros are saying, I would rather have 9 maps with only 1 to 2 being unlikable instead of 14 with 7 being unplayable. Not to mention the new game mode, War. Now, this may be my favorite introduction to a new game mode we've had in years. I'm really hoping this becomes a staple in the future multiplayers, just as Uplink has. Oh, and Uplink is back. And that leads us into the headquarters. I don't know about you guys, but mine is still broke. There's never anybody in it, which makes it seem more like a party type of a system instead of a community system. Other than that, it's a unique edition, which leads me to my final thoughts on the multiplayer. Supply drops.
Quartermaster, at your service.
COD 4 Remastered had by far the best system for this, and it seems like World War II will follow suit. With what I'll just call depot credits, you can purchase essentially skins for your weapons. Granted, all of them take over 10,000, but nonetheless, all of them can be earned before being bought. Now, it's inevitable that Sledgehammer will be bringing non-cosmetic items in the system in the future, but how they go about it is what I'm concerned with. If they follow the COD 4 Remaster recipe, they will have succeeded in making a near-perfect system. But if they add stat-changing weapon variants or impossible statistics of receiving these weapons, the community will inevitably be in outrage and fall victim to many of the same problems previous Call of Duties have. Again, multiplayer is very, very fun, and I plan on making fun and entertaining videos on the mode. It all depends on what Sledgehammer and Activision decide to do with their game that will determine the community's reaction to the game. Now, you guys know that any zombies mode in any Call of Duty has to be compared to Treyarch, because so far, they are the only ones that do it the best, and that still holds true. Even though Sledgehammer's second attempt at the zombies mode was successful in all the right categories like horror in the form of frequent but effective jump scares, the simple and familiar system of power, pack punch, and generally every mechanic sure change a few things for the better, like the new jug system of armor or being able to purchase a full refill on ammo from the pack punch machine. It still has a hard time differentiating itself from Treyarch. I love and enjoy what we gotten from Sledgehammer as far as zombies go, but eventually a studio will have to break the mold and make something completely unique like what Treyarch did all those years ago. Now they did add a whole new creative class system which expands on the weapon barracks from Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, which adds to its own experience, but again, the mode just hasn't had time to differentiate itself from Treyarch zombies. And so there you have it, my kinda sorta in-depth review of the new Call of Duty World War II, from multiplayer, campaign, zombies. I love everything. It's all very, very enjoyable, and I am very excited for what the year has to bring for us. If you guys agree or even disagree, let me know why down in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. I want to apologize for this video being so late. I wanted to work on the script a little bit more, and just the beginning is what really had me. I didn't really know how to start this video. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this very, very long video. I know it's not usually the average length that I have my videos at, but it was fun nonetheless. Anyways, guys, peace.
I'm the definition of ill still. Time for you to recognize the real. Yo, I'm the definition of ill still. Time for you to recognize the real. I strategize plots to knock knots and hot spots in hell and earth through my snot box. Raps is G's, no more strap taking, we master these. I jab